it's like 5 minutes and they're asking me to leave because I raised my bet because I was betting 25 and now I'm betting 200. So therefore I must know something and I must be doing something. I mean, I could just be doing something like winning, you know. God forbid anybody should win a dime in New York.
This guy's winning.
Yeah.
I need some help over here.
But I wasn't even winning last night.
No.
I was losing. And then when you lose a hand and you raise your bet, wow, that's not normal.
Must be doing something.
And then I lost that bet too, but that still didn't convince him that I was an idiot.
Wow. This is where we're going right now.
El Cortez.
Yeah.
This also, by the way, we have a theme going on this trip. We're staying at the Flamingo.
Yes.
The house that Bugsy built.
Right.
Bugsy also owned El Cortez at one time.
Is that right?
Yes, he did. This might be the oldest. Well, it might be the oldest casino hotel, where it was a hotel and a casino in one in all of Las Vegas. And I've stayed there a couple times. Nice place. I can't stay there anymore though because I love playing there. They have a great game. They have a great game that they don't let anyone play.
What is that?
Blackjack.
They don't let anybody play it.
No, not anybody that knows like basic strategy or anything about the game. Like you have to here I'll tell you a quick story. Last trip to Vegas, I was there and I was playing and one of the locals was playing next to me. Right here at El Cortez, here it is. And
pass this by.
He said, "Wow, they're really watching you," because there was two floor managers just staring at me. This is pretty cool here. This little convertible Cadillac with this Coca-Cola trailer, by the way. See that? Or not a Cadillac, Chevy, Bel Air.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, 57.
Yeah. So anyway, I go, they're watching me? I thought maybe they were watching you. I knew they were watching me. I go, I thought maybe they were watching you. He goes, no, they're watching you. I go, why? He goes, because look at the action you're laying down. I go, the action I'm laying down? I'm betting like $100. He goes, yeah, that's a lot of action for them. I go, this is Las Vegas. How is $100 a lot? He goes, because they don't see that here. I go, what do you mean they don't see that here? You know what they see? He goes, and none of that you won and you didn't leave yet. He goes, they come in here and they might bet $100, but if they win it, they're going to get their dime bag, man. They're out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense.
Can we park here? What does it say? Passenger loading 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I can't really park here, right? No. Okay. So, yeah. All right, this is Fremont, 6th Street. Okay. We're going to park up here. Remember this was the motel that we saw, because of the name of the street that it's on. It's like Johnny Carson Motel.
Oh, right. Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll start with how to play blackjack, right? Because you guys sound like you're pretty much beginners, right?
Yeah.
You've played maybe a little bit here or there.
Sure. Yeah.
But
decades ago.
So first thing, I guess, all blackjack games are not the same. People figure blackjack's what I thought. But there's different rules depending on what casino you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So for the biggest one is how the dealer plays his hand. So the dealer's going to make his hand up to 17 or more and then stop, no matter what anybody else has. But in some casinos, if it's a soft 17, now do you guys know what that means? Okay, so a soft 17 is a hand that could be either 7 or 17. So it would have an ace in it. So for example, ace 6, it could be 7.
Okay.
Or if you read the ace as an 11, then it's 17.
Okay, sure.
In most casinos now, they hit on the soft 17.
Who hits?
The dealer hits.
Because they know
on
that
the
they
soft
have a
17.
chance to take the 7 rather than the 17 and they could get a good hand.
Right. It helps the house a little bit more if they hit the soft 17 than if they stand on it.
Just by
one of the things that you'll hear people talk about at the blackjack table is so-called bust cards, right? So that means a small card for the dealer is called a bust card because there's a good chance that the dealer is going to bust, right? Because if the dealer has a 6-up, you're assuming that the card, the whole card underneath is a 10.
You always assume it's a 10?
Well, if I don't know, but
Okay.
when you're first learning, the sort of microwave version of basic strategy is just assume that the
Assume it's a
card
10.
you don't see is a 10.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that 10s, jacks, kings, and queens, I don't know why I went wrong order there, but 10s, jacks, queens, and kings are all 10s.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so
It's the highest probability chance you're gonna have a 10 of anything.
of any individual card.
Right.
Okay.
But what people forget is that there are more non-10s than 10s.
Right.
It's just the most common card of any one card.
Okay.
Right.
So if you don't know what the card
Plus,
is,
it's good to assume that it's a 10 because then you're guessing it as a higher hand right now.
correct.
So-
And even if it's not a 10, even if
Right,
it's
that's absurd.
even if it's an 8, okay, that's underneath there. That still means that the dealer is going to have to draw.
Right.
They don't have a hand yet, and if they have to draw, there's a good chance they're going to bust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Decent.
You assume it's a good. When I say a good chance, that's the thing that it's not really a good chance. So when the dealer has a 6-up, that's the strongest so-called bust card. In other words, the dealer busts more often with a 6-up than with any other card.
Okay.
But how often do you think they bust with a 6-up?
30%.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's almost 40%,
Okay.
And that's the worst one.
which means that they make a hand 60% of the time, and that's the worst one.
Okay.
So if you're assuming that the dealer's going to bust when you see a 6, that's really a bad assumption.
It's still 60%.
It's still 60% that he's going to make a hand. But
What if he's got an 8, or is it the higher the number, the higher the odds that he's gonna bust, or?
well, no. So yes and no. The higher the number of the small number. So the small cards are 2 through 6.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
And so 6 has got a better chance of busting than 5, and 5's got a better chance of busting than 4, and so
Okay.
forth. Okay. 2 has the least amount of chance of busting, even though they have to draw. Now when I
7,
say
8, 9 are best because then if
Right.
they draw a 10, then they already
exactly, if
have it.
they've got an 8, that's not a bust card because most of the time they're going to have a made hand. They're going to have an 18, and they're not going to draw anymore.
Right. And the stick. Okay.
Right.
What's
So-
the logic behind not touching your chip? Just to,
Oh, your chip?
yeah, interrupt.
Well, once you place a bet, then yeah, you can't touch your original bet after you already place it. And the reason for that is he's got an 11 right now, right? So he can go like this. He can go, oh man, I sure hope that wins. So now what did he do? He just doubled his bet because he realized he had a good hand.
Okay.
Oh, wouldn't somebody notice that? Or
Oh.
They might, but they have
okay,
6 people,
I gotcha.
and if they're working as a
So
team.
you're supposed to put it like here.
Someone will distract
So
you. and then,
so what's going to happen is if Dan, right? If Dan's a cheater, he's going to come in with Jim.
Yeah.
Jim's going to spill his drink, and then he's going to cap his bet.
But some that they're watching they're watching. They're
Gets looking up.
They are, but I mean, it's not hard to do that. And
Right.
did the camera really catch it?
Yep.
You know, and they're not watching every game.
Hi, Jerry.
So, and it wouldn't really matter in some cases. Like the 11, you're always going to double down. So if you wanted to double down, what you would do is you would take a chip and you put it next to this one,
Okay.
and then the dealer's going to give you just one card. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to mess up the checks. Hopefully you get that right.
Ooh.
Yeah. So now you won. He's good.
And that's the reason why you do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So then against a 5, definitely would double the 10 also. So you put a chip up next to it, and I'll just give you a random card.
Oh,
That really
nice
works.
random.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 9. Normally you're not going to double 9, but against a 5 you will because this is a good chance the dealer's going to bust.
Okay.
Better
So,
than average.
so the whole thing is So would I just would you just hit me once, or how would?
Right. So you only get one
Oh,
card.
double. So you'd say that you would want me to double this based upon.
Right.
So the 9's
Because
pretty risky.
right. So the 9 that's a risky double if I had like a 10.
Right.
You know, because you might get that, okay?
And I'm
So
nowhere.
now you got 12, and if I had the 10 up, you sure would want another card.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in this case, you're not gonna take another card anyway, unless maybe if I gave you a 2, you might be a little
Yeah,
unhappy.
but if I double down, I only get one card.
Right. And that's the reason why you're not gonna double on 9 very often. Because what if you got this card?
It's useless, right?
Right, so now you got 11, and you're standing.
Right.
Because you have no choice. But you're still hoping that this is gonna bust.
Still win.
So you can still win. I won with a lot of 11s.
Okay.
What?
So then
Okay.
everybody wins.
So even though I would have gotten, this would have been just a terrible, it's not about this then, it's about that.
Right, yeah. And the dealer will come and pay
Core up,
ta-
right there.
table etiquette and all the rest of it. So, some of the table etiquette kind of goes out the window when you actually learn to play, when you learn to manage play or card counting. Because, for example, a lot of people don't like you to sit down in the middle of the shoe. They're halfway through the shoe, they think it's bad luck or it's gonna mess up the flow of the cards if you jump in the middle of the shoe, so it's considered, bad manners to do that. But if
Well, the house doesn't care, because they want to get as many
the
people.
house doesn't care at
Yeah.
all, really, in most cases. Now, there's exceptions to that. Some games, they won't let you jump in the middle of the shoe because they're worried about card counters, but most of the time, they don't care. But there are things like, like not touching your cards, you definitely want to abide by that, but they'll tell you, and they'll tell you nicely the first dozen times.
And then they're gonna be like, wait, is this guy actually doing something?
Right.
Same time?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, and I've been politely reprimanded many times at a blackjack table doing things the wrong way. When you're new, they know right away and they correct you a lot, but they're nice about it, so,
who were you corrected by? Other players or the dealer?
Dealer.
Or, okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Dealer will say, oh, you don't touch that.
Right.
So they'll.
Right, like with double down is a good example. Some people will try to,
Give me the Pepsi, please.
if you want to double down, they're going to do this. Well, that's capping your bet, like we talked about. It's got to be next to it. But that kind of stuff, they're going to tell you what to do. When you get to the table, you don't have any chips, so you have to buy chips. So you just put your cash down on the table, and the dealer will take it. The dealer cannot take anything directly out of your hand.
Okay.
And that's for their security too, so. Anyway, so back to blackjack. So we covered hitting, standing, that, and double down. The other thing that you can do, if you have pairs, you might choose to split them, right? So the same
You
example.
say might choose, what determines that?
Okay, usually the dealer's card that you see.
Okay.
So he's got a pair of 6s, and I haven't talked about basic strategy yet or not, but no matter what the dealer has, you have the option, as far as the rules of the game go, to split. But it would be beneficial to split in the case of a small card like a 5 up, but not so much if the 10 was up. Reason being is, this is the strongest card for the dealer other than maybe an ace, and you don't want to play, now, in order to split, so if he's got a $25 bet, to split he's got to put another $25 up. Then they're going to split into the 2 hands.
Right.
So you don't want to double your bet now against,
Because you lose twice as much.
right, you're going to lose twice as much. So you already know the dealer's got a 10, you're going to have to, if you assume the other card that you don't see is a 10, you're going up against a 20, and you're starting out with a 6, you're going to, you're thinking, I could easily end up with 2 16s against a 20, why would I want to do that?
Yep.
But if it's a 5, that's a different story, because now
Hey,
the dealer will bust.
are you,
So then you would want to split.
okay.
And then in some casinos, after you split, if you get another small card, you might be able to double down. In some places you can't. Most of the time you can't.
Just on one of them?
Yeah, so if, let's say you get, let's say you split, and now you have a 10. You can double that one if you want.
So I can go that.
Yep, like that.
Yep.
And then you're gonna get one more card.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
And then they'll give you a card on the other one.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah. If it actually worked out that way, right? Yeah, and then they're gonna give you another card here. Okay, now, this is interesting, right? So, in this case, you have 7 or 17,
Oh, yeah, right.
all right? And the dealer has a small card. So what would you like to do?
Do I double down?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Very good.
Wi-Fi?
Okay, whoops.
Don't use those.
You won't get that. Okay, so now you got 17. That's okay.
That's good.
Yeah, and we'll see what the dealer ends up with. And these aren't mixed up, so that's what I'm grabbing out of anyway. Look at that, there you go, you won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Man, you did. You were killing it. You were killing it.
Good thing I don't know what I'm doing. Right.
Now, you brought these basic strategy charts, right?
Yeah, and my printer didn't work very well.
Oh, okay.
But what I would tell you guys all to do is, if you can remember this website, or I can write it down. This is a good website in general on anything related to casinos. It's called Wizard of Odds.
Nice.
Yeah. Used to be I would have told you to go to our website, but we don't have it up right now. But his website is very, very good. Wizardofodds.com, and then go to the Blackjack section, and there's a basic strategy calculator, and you put in the rules and the number of decks and all the conditions for the game that you have, and then it generates a basic strategy chart for that game. Because a lot of people walk around, well, not a lot of people, because hardly anybody uses this. Once in a while you'll see somebody with a basic strategy card in their
Yeah,
hand at the
I've got
table.
one of those.
Okay. Now, do you actually use it when you play?
No, it's just too, I feel weird cross-referencing like a little table, so.
It is. It's kind of a pain, you know?
Right.
It's like-
Yeah, because these are, talk about small print, I mean, this is what a typical one looks like. You can buy these on Amazon. And you can keep that in your pocket and you can refer to it. Now, what I see people do all the time is they take out their basic strategy card and they actually take the time to look it up.
Uh-huh,
And I know what it says,
yeah.
and then they do the opposite.
What do you mean?
So, let's say they got 16,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the dealer has a 7. So they look and they go 16 against a 7, it says hit, and they stand. And I say, well, why'd you bother looking it up?
'Cause
You know, and then you stand anyway, you know what I mean?
They do that because they just didn't, no matter what, they didn't feel good.
They're scared to hit.
Right, even though
So,
they have to hit on
and
that
when I-
circumstance, because they're gonna lose.
Right, and so a lot of people don't hit like 16 or 15 or whatever against
And
a big card like a 7 or through a 10 or whatever, because they're afraid to bust.
Right, yeah.
Because you know, now you're making you should be scared to stand with 16 against a 10, you know,
Right.
but you know, or maybe not so much on a hand like that, but more on a close call. Like the most misplayed hand in blackjack in terms of basic strategy is a soft 18. So you play a little bit of blackjack and you have basic strategy card. So I'll just ask you, what would you do if you had ace 7 and the dealer had a 9?
Dealer at 9 and I had either 8 or
You had
8.
8 or 18 and I've got 9.
I guess I would have to hit that because he's got 19.
That's right.
10 coming up.
Yeah, because he's got 19. Now, it's a little oversimplistic for me to say because he's got 19 and you've got 18 and you can't bust.
Right.
That's oversimplifying it a little bit. That's not the real reason. There's a lot more complicated math behind it than that, because you could have any number of cards besides a 10 under there. But essentially, that's the way you'd rationalize it, is he's got 19 and you got 18 and you
Yeah.
can't bust no matter what card you
Right.
get.
Right.
Now, you might have to hit it twice,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of times, you know, if I give you a 5,
Yeah.
you know, now you got a terrible hand, you're gonna have to hit it again. But
Yeah.
what if you have the same hand, ace 7, and I have a 4?
Maybe I'd stay on that.
Double down,
I would double down because it's
because
yeah,
you're
sure.
betting I'm gonna bust.
Yeah. Right.
And you don't care what you get.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many times you get a 3 when you hit that.
Huh.
You know, happens more often seems logical, but, or a 2, or, you know, or an ace. A lot of times you improve the hand. Or you hit it twice and you improve the hand.
Yeah.
So they'll look at that ace-7 and it says hit or double, especially if it says double, and they won't do it. They'll either stand, which is okay, or they'll hit without doubling, which is like worse. The only reason to take another card, like if you have a 4 and you have soft 18, it makes no sense to hit. It's either double down or the slightly worse decision would be to stand. But hit without doubling is like the worst thing you can do, because you're just gonna, more likely you're gonna mess up the hand and
Make it less good than you
right.
are
You
right
made
now.
it less good, and
And
for what reason?
right, you didn't get
Yeah.
anything better out of
Right.
chance of winning.
Right. So we talked earlier about a lot of people have different various. Now, how much blackjack have you played? Not very
Not
much.
very much, no.
So you don't probably have. And you play very much? Okay. So you guys probably don't have the common superstition, or whatever you want to call it, that how other people play affects them. So I don't know if you've ever heard this at a blackjack table. People
Yeah.
will get mad if somebody plays wrong, right?
I was just telling Paul a story of a person that we knew who was the former CEO of an electronics company, and was expressing how frustrated he was when people did that. He was saying to my dad how annoying it is when someone plays the wrong card in front of him, because that's his card. And again, this is CEO of a huge, like a Fortune 500
Sure.
company. At the
Yeah.
time. So,
Yeah. And since you don't play much blackjack, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you.
It doesn't make sense to me, but I mean,
Right.
I get how that.
I actually understand their thinking, because they're saying, so, you know, if he takes a card he's not supposed to, and it was a card that would have helped you,
Right.
but it could have just as easily been a card that would have busted
Of
you,
course. Yeah.
you know. And then I played with a lady just recently, and this guy, she told me ahead of time, even when I sat down, she said, watch out, the guy in the end splits 10s all the time. Okay, so,
Oh, I'll change everything then. Thank you.
right, so if you have a pair of 10s, whatever it might be, right? Now, and actually, the way it turned out is he didn't always split 10s. What he did was he only split jacks. Okay? Now, I don't know why,
Red jacks.
but if he had a pair of jacks, he would split them, okay? And I've heard people say they only split one-eyed jacks, too. But, whatever, they're all 10s. But, so he would split the, and you can't touch the cards, but he would split 10s if they were jacks, no matter what the dealer had. And she was convinced this was going to mess everything up. Right? And I said, oh, okay, all right, thanks for telling me, right? Because
Right.
I got to pretend like I don't know what I'm doing. So, or I got to pretend like I'm a typical player anyway.
Yeah.
So he's got his jacks and he splits, and she goes, see, I told you. And I go, okay, well, we'll see what happens. This happened on like the first hand out of the shoe. We all won. And I said, see, now, I want you to remember that. We all won, even though he split his 10s,
Yeah.
you know? She goes, yeah, but it's going to mess up the rest of the shoe. I said, okay, we'll see. I said, try to remember that, right? Maybe you're right. Well, let's find out. So, next hand she wins. Next hand she wins. She wins 5 in a row. And I say, you still think it messed up the shoe? I go, you know what? It did mess up the shoe. Because normally, the shoe is stacked in the house's favor. And when somebody does something crazy like split 10s, it messes it up. But if it messes up a game that's set to their advantage, then that could only possibly help us.
Well, see, now she's believing this.
Right, because I used another stupid...
One strategy, stupid strategy.
Right.
Outrageous
I
stupid
decided to fight ignorance with ignorance. And,
Right.
And now she was going, maybe
Except
you're
I
right.
believe in concrete.
Right. So, El Cortez in Vegas, for example. I think 18 minutes is my record. I was able to play, and that's not on the short side, that's on the long side. I was able to play one time for 18 minutes without getting asked to leave.
Wait, so you play for less than at a table or at a casino?
This is in the, because at that table.
At that, okay.
Well, at any, I mean,
At any table, I'm saying.
at any table, from the time I started playing till the time they asked me to leave was 18 minutes.
Oh, okay, it's the fastest you've been
That,
kicking.
no, that's the
That's
longest
the length.
I was
That's
able
the
to play
longest
it.
length.
So you're saying you'll normally go.
Well, a lot of times I get thrown out of there in like 8 minutes.
Oh, cool.
El Cortez.
Yeah.
So you get.
And there's no way, and the thing about that is, I got thrown out of there one time in 6 minutes, I think was the quickest. There's no way that guy, and he did it very politely, this particular guy. I've also had guys there tell me that I'm going to flat bet the table minimum or I can get the fuck out of their casino. And he said that, exactly those words, in front of a whole table full of people. But this guy was, older guy, was real polite.
A flat bet meaning you're not
You
gonna
can't
escalate.
bet more than $5 a hand every hand.
And you're not going to escalate.
So
You
you're not
can't raise
betting.
your bet no matter what.
So even if you're counting, is this going to be?
It doesn't matter.
It's not
Playing
gonna-
at all.
there's
You
not
can play
much-
it. There's nothing
You can
You can take up
you
a
can
seat and
actually
play.
still get a little bit out of that game. As long as, if you make what's called, this is like going like 3 lessons down the road, but if you made what's called index plays, you can actually still get an advantage out of that game with just flat betting, especially at El Cortez, because their rules are so good. And that's why they're so paranoid, because they have the best rules of anybody. So even though they throw me out all the time, I'll still go in there and try to play as long as I can. And they've never like taken my name or my picture, as far as I know.
That's what I was gonna say.
They
They must have
they never
fun.
barred me from coming back in there. They just asked me not to play blackjack, very politely, you know. So
If blackjack is so not tilted in the the house's favor with the proper training, why do you think it's still a game that casinos want to put on, and they haven't just changed something else?
that's a good question. So people have been saying that card counting started like in the 50s. And pretty much, since 1970, people that card count have been saying, we got a limited amount of time here before they just either make it impossible to count or they eliminate blackjack altogether. So the casino is never going to eliminate, and this is my opinion, they're never going to eliminate blackjack altogether because of a couple of things. First of all, it's the most popular tables game. They make far more money from the people that
They don't
don't know how to card count, or other that aren't advantage players, I should say, because there's other ways to beat the game besides card counting.
Okay.
So they make far more money from the regular players, the ploppies as we call them, than they do from the than they lose from the pros. And not only that, the reason why El Cortez, I think, is making a huge mistake, there's no way, if they watched me play for 6 minutes, that they were able to really determine if I knew what the heck I was doing or
Which
not.
means they're throwing out more.
I could have just been getting lucky, and I didn't even win that much money, but they could tell I was varying my bet
Yeah.
based on the count. But it could have just been a coincidence. I didn't for 5 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
it could have just been a coincidence that I
How
haven't
many
raised
hands
my
would there
bet.
have been? 3? 2?
Yeah. Seriously. it's
No,
like
it
four
would have been.
hands.
It would have been. It would have been about. I mean, I was one-on-one with the dealer, so
Oh.
Okay.
it was maybe. It was at least. I think it was about. I think we went through 2 decks that. She was a pretty quick dealer,
Okay.
and
Oh, in 6
I'll
minutes.
play as fast as they'll deal.
Yeah.
I want them to go fast, especially at El Cortez, where I know I got a limited amount of time to make some money.
So how much did you make there the most?
The most that I've ever made at El Cortez
Yeah, in 18 minutes.
in 18 minutes, I made.
whatever one.
Yeah, whatever.
I think it was about. It wasn't much. I've never made very much there.
Yeah.
I think it was about $350 or something like that. I don't think it was much more than that.
It's a quick, it's a quick.
Sure. But $350 an hour. It's better than what it's going to cost now.
Well, 18 minutes.
Yeah, divide that by 4, yeah.
More than a whole day's work.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Yeah. So, but and that's the other thing though too. Like, so I won $350 and they're throwing me out. It's like, what? That's like
Yeah,
nothing. To
that's
them.
nothing, right?
Right. But more importantly, they don't know that they can't know I'm any good in 6 minutes. Maybe in 18 minutes. Maybe.
Do they know the count of their tables? Do they have like computers? Like the count at this table, they can just like maybe scan the table and know, or,
I don't know, some places can.
wow.
I don't know if El Cortez does that or not. There, some casinos have RFIDs in their chips,
Yeah,
and they have the table reads it, and so they know exactly how much you're betting.
wow.
And then
Oh my gosh,
So
of course.
much data.
yeah,
And you have a camera that's just
and
scanning
there's
the
a camera
table.
that's and
It
they,
just
and,
knows like, boop.
and then the
AI.
computer can actually count just based on the camera. You know, it can actually keep a running count.
That's amazing.
And it can. I've heard that it can do it with using multiple counting systems because there's at least I don't know. There's a lot. There's more than a dozen different count systems that people use. So my count might be, you know, +3, and somebody else's might be only +2, but they're usually gonna be close.
That's the thing that's gonna stop it in the end. Once that becomes available to every casino, they can scan who's counting, they can know based on the bets, and then the AI can learn over time. I've got to imagine that's the biggest threat.
Well, so they identify you as a card counter. So now, what can they do? They can ask you to leave. They can, you know,
Right.
but it's not illegal.
No, right.
And so,
That's
you know, there's limited things that they can do. And that's, you know, so, right, so, but I guess they could eventually have a system where the computer identifies this person as a card counter and then alerts somebody.
Yeah, you walk in.
But,
scan
right,
your
but
face,
what's happening right now is they're looking at the screen and they can, you know, randomly look at a table or whatever, right? But most of the time, they're not watching the game live. They have, you know, 1,000 cameras, but they don't have 1,000 people up there. They've got like 8 people up there. Most casinos spend less money on surveillance than they do on just about anything else. The only reason they have surveillance in some cases is because they're required by law to have it. And they don't really spend a lot of money on their surveillance departments.
Do they watch the dealers a lot too?
They watch the dealers more than anything, because that's who
There's a lot
they're
of
really
ca-
afraid about.
There's a lot of cash, there's a lot of all sorts of
Right.
stuff, yeah.
If you have a dirty dealer, they could
Right,
completely
yeah, and they're
bankrupt
just,
the whole thing.
that's a lot more dangerous to a casino than a card counter. Most casinos don't worry about card counters that much. They're more worried about dealers or people that are actually doing things that are actually criminal, you know.
People steal,
Stealing chips from the player next to them, you know, capping their bet.
Ocean's 11 escapades. Do the gaming commissions have quite a bit of power to oversee everything like this?
Well, depends. Gaming commission where? In Las Vegas?
Sure.
In Las Vegas, yes.
Tons.
Gaming commission is part of the police department.
Right.
They have an enormous amount of power.
And then it just
But-
varies from there on.
Oops, see what I mean? That's terrible. It has a lot of power.
Right.
And
In
our-
Wisconsin,
are pretty
not so
reputable.
much.
Well, interesting thing about Wisconsin is Wisconsin has tribal gaming.
Right.
Right? So the gaming commission is tribal.
Oh, it's tribal.
Not
Yeah.
federal.
But they have their own sovereignty.
There is a Wisconsin gaming commission, but they don't, it's really rare that they would get involved. If you have a dispute with the casino, you have to take it up with the tribe. So, which way do you think they're gonna rule?
Every time, yeah.
But it's not a lot different in a city like Las Vegas, where the people that live in Las Vegas, or in Nevada generally, don't pay any property or state income tax, because the casinos pay for everything. Yeah.
So they're always on the side of the house.
So who pays the gaming commission's salary?
yeah, the casinos payers.
Yeah.
Casinos, right, yeah.
You know, you could argue that, well, if there was no gamblers, there would be no casino, and there'd be no gaming commission.
But that's not-
But that's, they don't necessarily see it that way exactly. You know, okay, so, once the cards are shuffled, and that was a terrible shuffle, but,
So is there a way that, I saw you split it apart, doing it by like a deck basically each.
Right.
Deck and a half or whatever it was. Does it matter what order it goes into or anything?
well,
like
yeah, every casino's gonna have their own procedure of how they do it, and a house shuffle, where the dealer has to hand shuffle, would have been way more complicated than what I just did. you make different stacks and you
You put them all together in a
put them all together a certain way and riffle them, first of all, 3 times each, not just once like I did, but in the interest of time, I just did it.
Yeah, no,
So there's a stop card.
but there is a
So
procedure.
so normally normally there's 2 cards, so one would be on the back. And the reason that this card is on the back, now some casinos, there's a casino that I play at quite regularly that doesn't bother on they use 4 decks on their 4-deck game to put a card back here.
So
And there's
you
a
know
couple
that
of them that I play at.
So you know that card.
Yeah, well, so what they do is, like, he'd be cutting it, right? So if he gave it to him to cut, they're doing it this way, and they're thinking, well, he doesn't know what that card is, right? But he does, and you do, right? And if I sat at third base, actually that would be third base, yeah, at this one place, they would bring the cards over like this for me to cut,
So if they-
and I could sit way over here and I could see that card. Okay? Now, it doesn't help that much,
Right.
but it helps a little bit because a couple of things. First of all, if it's a 5 like this, 5s are not good for the player.
Right.
Low cards are not good for the player. So I want to make sure that card, I want to try to make sure that card does not get played, right? So if it's a 5 like that and they give it to me to cut, I'm going to cut it as close to the front as they'll let me. So that when they take this, and move it back here, and then the dealer's going to take, wow, I practice. The dealer's going to take this cut card here, and he's going to put it in it, now it's going to become the stop card. And he's going to probably put it in about here, and now that 5's been buried
Yeah.
out of play. If it's,
So you don't play past that card.
right, if it's a 10, okay, it's a queen back there,
You want that card.
right? So now if I'm good,
You'll go as far.
I'm gonna think, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, are you playing?
No.
All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 players, right? And so I'm gonna count 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 cards, and then I'm gonna get the last one's gonna be the 9th card, right? If I can get away with it, because normally you have to cut more than 9 cards, but if I could get away with it, I'm gonna try to cut, let's see, did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, 9. I want to try to cut it to 9 cards, right? Now, I've not practiced this, so I'm probably gonna be wrong about this. So I would try to cut it real super thin if they let me, right? And try to see if I could cut that
So you still get that.
queen, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna put that in there, and then they're gonna move this up here.
And you want it to be the 9th card.
I want it to be the 9th card.
Let's see, count it out.
Oh.
Queen, it was a black.
Well, we're
queen.
gonna find out, we're gonna deal. And then maybe I'm playing in a place that has awesome, what we call penetration, and they put it back here, okay? Because that's what you want as a card counter, you want this stop card to go as far back in this deck as possible. Ideally, you're hoping that they're gonna cut off like 26 cards, about half a deck, because nobody's gonna really go more than that, okay? So maybe you get lucky and they do something like that. I don't think that was 9 cards, I think I'm off. But we can find out. So, all right, and, but maybe it was 10 cards, because actually it would have been 10 cards, because I forgot they always burn a card.
Why do they burn the card?
Don't know.
Okay.
Cheating reasons.
Yeah, but most places, if you ask to see it, or some places will just show you anyway.
Oh, interesting. So you can count it.
Yeah, so you can count. I don't ever ask to see it,
'Cause-
because then it makes me look
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna do other things that make me look like a counter. So that's one less thing. And 4 or 6 decks, one card's not helping me that much that I wanna risk being exposed. And then I set this up this way because this is what they do at the casino too. Obviously, this thing normally would just sit straight on the table. I built this thing to somewhat simulate, although it's not this extreme in the casino, what they do with their discard tray, because they put it like at a weird angle. Because they're trying to make it hard for you. Because the way, what a card counter does is when I'm trying to estimate how many decks are left, I don't look at this, because these cards are slanted. And most of the time I can't even see the side anyway.
It's hard to tell.
So it's hard to tell how many cards are anywhere in the slant, especially as they're dealing and they get all messed up and they're like this. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't tell. So what you do is you look at this and you can you can guess based on
Two
the height of the
decks.
stack, if there's 2 decks here, then there's 4 decks left over here.
You do your math based on that.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I haven't gotten into card counting yet, but that's what that's what you would base here.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you were,
There's like an
I'm
answer.
sorry, I got way ahead of myself. So you bet, you make your bet, whatever you want it to be, before they deal.
And there's no limit usually, or?
There is usually a limit. And so if we're playing, let's say the minimum bet was $10. If we're in Wisconsin, the maximum bet's gonna be 200. If we're in Las Vegas, on the strip, the maximum bet's gonna probably be like 5,000.
Wow.
So you can bet anywhere from 10 to 5,000.
It's pretty crazy. Spend
Yeah.
money to make money, right?
Well, now you can see where that 0.5% edge is gonna add up. We didn't find the queen, did we?
Blackjack.
But you did get 20, just by luck. Nope, we didn't find the queen. All right. Okay, so I have a 2. You've got a pair of 3s. What would you like to do?
Would he split? Would that be? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So what you do, don't touch the cards. Hold up, put another bet up next to it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Do this right here. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, you put up another bet, and then you hold up 2 fingers. So then I know you don't want to double.
Oh,
You know what I
I
mean?
want to split.
Right,
That's split?
that's split.
Oh.
This would be double down.
Double.
It means I want
split.
1 card. That means I want to split.
Okay.
Then that'd be silly to double down on a 3.
On a 6, right? But
Or a 6,
Not
yeah.
like I've never seen it, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would you
Oops.
do that? Max score.
Look at that. Card on the floor.
No,
Floor, card
Why would
down.
you double at 16?
no, he just said that just would be, you could, I mean, there's nothing stopping it.
All right. Now what? You got 4 or 14? I have a 2. Look at your chart if you want.
I don't know what that all means.
Okay, so
Red is hit.
so you
Red is double, right?
yeah, so you look. And if you thought that book had small print, so you look. Dealer has a 2, and you have a soft hand.
So I have a soft line too.
Yeah, and right, and he's got soft 4 here. So he's got soft 14. Okay.
Stay.
I was gonna stay anyway, like it's a 19.
You're gonna
I'm
stay.
staying.
That's-
Soft 14 is going to be against the 2 is going to be
Even if I hit, what are the odds that I get a better
how do we do
19?
So you
So
just
you
tap the
would you
table like
split on
this,
this?
No, you'd
and
absolutely
the
not.
dealer's going to give you another card. So now you have soft 17.
Okay, so-
7 or 17.
Because he's gonna
Hold
do,
on,
he's gonna
hold here.
You never.
lost
Well,
probably.
remember, I told you earlier
saw
that
that.
the
On the soft
casino
17,
is going to hit their soft 17 if they want the extra advantage. So if it gives the house an extra advantage,
Gives
it'll give you an extra
The only
advantage.
way you could lose is somebody
And
at
you hit,
21.
yep.
Yes.
Now
I
you
might
got
double
cards
down
on
on
this.
this.
So now obviously,
Might not get double. I might.
so you just wave your hand like this, and then I'll give you another card over here.
Uh-huh.
Now you've got 12. Now this is an interesting
If
one.
you
You've
don't
got 12
dodge, he's
against
gonna
the
still
2.
deal you a card.
So the dealer's going to have to draw, but
Forget about that.
the 2, otherwise known as the deadly deuce, is not that likely to bust. And there's only 1 card that's going to bust you.
Okay.
So that's actually a hit, 12 against the 2. 12 against the 4, 5, or 6 would be a stand, but against the 2 or the 3 is a hit. All right, and you busted, so they're going to take your chip.
But just one of them, but he still has a
He
hand.
still has 17 over there.
Okay.
And I was gonna say before checking the chart confirms I sit.
Yeah, you sit on that, that's right. And you do
I'd say,
You'd hit.
yeah, hit me. 'Cause you can only split when their cards are the same.
correct.
Okay.
What else could you do besides hit, though?
You can double down.
Yep.
At 11, do you think it'd be,
Please don't touch your cards.
oh, sorry.
So
Yeah.
as I was, as
Rules here.
I was trying to check.
Paul, it's been 6 minutes yet? Yes.
Double
So,
down on that.
double down on this thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
Because you're, well, then you're 2.
you're always on 11 anyway.
Okay.
You're always going to double down 11. Because
You want to hit.
there's a lot of 10s. Most of the cards,
Okay.
or there's more 10s than anything else.
Okay.
So you got a good chance. If you get a 10, what are you going to have?
Can all,
We'll add up to it.
Right.
yeah.
But you got a 6, so you have 17. All right, split? No? All right.
Double down, only 1 card.
I don't know, that'd be wrong. I think that lady would.
Splitting that would be wrong, yes. All right, and I'm
Called
gonna
a
just, okay.
So you have to keep
12.
hitting.
Yeah.
Those 17.
What are the rules? Do you do soft or not soft 17 here?
It's soft.
I'm gonna hit the soft 17 here, but there's no chance of me getting that now.
Yeah.
Bust.
Okay.
Everybody.
Everyone that has cards gets paid. So everything except for that one hand earlier. So you pushed big
Push me tonight.
all the time. Whose nickname was Mumbles.
Oh,
It's a good casino name.
great, yeah. So he probably mumbled.
Now, why do you suppose he was mumbling?
Got chips in his mouth.
That's right.
Huh.
He had purple chips, which are $500 each in his mouth.
Wow.
Because he would cough and throw a chip in his mouth.
That's funny.
And how long do you think he was doing that before he was caught?
I think he probably got away with it for about a year.
Whoa.
That goes back to what I said about them not really watching those cameras. Yeah.
So, did it then come after him for that money, or no?
They just fired him.
Right.
Because there's just no way they.
It's just like any other business. Do you want to announce to the world that you had a criminal dealing cards at your casino?
Right.
Right.
That'd be our.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Bets are open, gentlemen. And then most time they'll go like this, which means the bets are open. And then when they go like this, and once this hand comes over to here, you can't make any more bets.
Ooh.
Oh.
Boy.
All right. This is interesting.
Yeah, so that's a good card for us. Right?
This is a good card for you, yeah.
Yep. So we're assuming you have a 14.
That's right.
So I would, I can't remember what it is. What do I double
Let's see.
down here?
But no, you don't want to get another card though. Well, then.
You have an 8, so you probably just want to hit.
Really?
I think. No.
Hit is the worst decision.
So
Well, if you double down, you gotta hit two.
Yes, if you double down, you get a card.
So but he doesn't want to get it because he's got.
But he wants more money out there against this card.
Yeah.
And no matter what card I give him, he's not gonna bust.
So I put the chip down?
Yep.
What's my
You just
sign?
would put it down there. You could hold up one finger. In this case, it's not necessary because you can't split that.
Okay.
Okay, so you still got 18.
Now I got a hole, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have a
Yeah.
choice.
Okay.
So that's just one like,
Extra play.
My heart's 17, I probably just sit.
yeah, so you just wait your hand.
And double down.
On 20.
Oh,
Interesting move.
Oh.
It's a soft 20. You could.
But see, I was looking at that.
Right, yeah.
But-
I
but
I
so-
follow your logic.
But so no, because I'd bust.
No, you won't bust. You have a soft 20. You have 10 or 20.
Right.
So
So,
you
but
won't bust.
But I'm counting on you losing.
You're counting on me busting. So if you really believe I'm gonna bust,
Which,
then you
believe
could
you're
double
gonna-
down,
what does
but-
that mean?
what's that?
You say believe you're gonna.
Well, yeah, it would not be proper basic strategy to double down on that.
Okay.
And the reason,
Because I was saying, like, this looks like a really good card.
you have the second best possible hand.
Right.
So
But if I
it
double down, now you're gonna give me. Now you're just gonna make.
doesn't
this-
matter, I'm gonna probably wreck your hand, but you're still counting on me busting.
Right.
So I understand your logic as far as that goes. But unless the count is super high, you're not gonna double that.
So what you're saying is you've already basically got the win.
You're right, you're more than likely you're gonna win.
I would make my odds worse by doubling down, even though my
Right.
my winnings would be greater.
So what about
Right.
this one? Now I'm one
Okay.
shy.
Right.
Oh, so it's the same. This is
One
interesting.
shy.
Then.
It's
Yeah, so this
17
is
and a half.
actually amazing the way this worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your case, it would not be wise to double down on this card, just
So
simply
he's
because
so
you're
he's
gonna wreck
two
your
below
20.
me. He's
One.
one below
Yeah,
me. and-
18 is the cutoff.
Okay. Okay.
18, and here's why. The average hand for the dealer is 18 and a half. So 18 is not a winning hand,
okay.
but 19 is, and so is 20.
18 and a half. Got it.
Okay.
That's
My
a
17 isn't a winning
And I
hand, but I
stay.
can't really hit it.
But you're not gonna hit, right, this is known as the mother-in-law hand.
The what?
The mother-in-law hand.
The bitch hand.
Well, why is it, well,
Not on YouTube.
now we know what you think of your mother-in-law.
That's the trope. That's the trope. That's
I'm
the
kidding.
I'll have a mother-in-law.
No, why is it you're close though? You're actually close.
Right.
It's the mother-in-law hand, why? Anybody got a guess why?
Because it slightly loses 18 and a half.
Well, what did you want to do with it? What
You can't hit-
Like, let's say I had a 10. You want to
Can't
what?
hit it.
You want to what?
You can't
I
hit
want to
it.
hit it.
You want to hit it, but
You can't.
there you go. That's why it's the mother-in-law hand. You want to hit it, but you can't.
Okay, alright, I got it. That makes sense. If this were a 16, it'd probably be worth to hit it.
Right.
didn't want to hit it, but you can. I like that.
Makes sense.
And I stay in.
You stand, all right.
Same logic.
Yeah. All right. All right.
You're just
Okay.
holding him, you're good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's good over there. Oh, 15. Too many.
There
Everybody
you go.
wins.
Everybody wins. All right.
I'm gonna run out of green chips. That's a good problem.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, then, DarkStar, he would color up to get,
I would, if I couldn't get a fill, like if I was at my old casino and I couldn't get anyone to come and give me a fill, then, yeah, I would just say, anybody, wanna color up some of those chips? And I would hope that somebody would cash me, but we'll just.
Oh, because like I have a couple hundred.
Right, so yeah,